Alright, we are recording for the final story in the omnibus here, Dirty Deeds, Skip the Hard Part. Basically the subtitle here. It appears it is just out of a Rippazine, specifically number 3, based on the cover art shown here. Writer, Caro Brown, artist, Evan Scale, colorist, Marco Lesko, letterer, Invisible Art Studio, and lead editor, Andrew Rodriguez. There is no introduction, there is no letter, it's just there. And fortunately it is short, so I don't feel so bad just saying immediately it completely failed to impress me. And it's we'll get to that. Let me go through it. So it starts with we've got a truck that it's a science fiction-esque, well, at least science fiction set story. So they are on some alien world. The crew itself are made up of aliens, and a variety there. And they've apparently stolen something. We don't really know what, but they're fleeing a city and they're being chased by 2 other vehicles that are shooting at them. All we really know for what they took is just it says on the box, highly volatile property of Red Sun Federation. Don't ask me what any of that means. It's just there. It's barely even a MacGuffin, because at least MacGuffin, there is some explanation for it. It's just there. And it seems totally unimportant, because after a little bit, they have to the pursuers disengage. Now this group, there's the people in the truck. There's also some on their ship. It looks like at most we got 2 that are the same species. And these 2 have, well, a lot of them seem to have banter between them, but these 2 specifically do have some banter, where it's like, and this was a covert job, but Arid's too big to be covert, shut it. So just, that kind of banter there, it seems kind of normal. But anyway, why did the pursuers turn around? Well, it's because the city's under attack. Apparently by Lumiax? Lumiuax. And, it's the whole, hey, get back to the ship, but I mean, they're not going to do that. Because it turns out that what this species is basically an insect species that will forcibly implant embryos into people. I get the cliche, I get the trope. I don't think it was best to use here. Sorry. But, yeah, it's just because, fine, they're bad guys, but to have that specific thing is like, okay, I get how, like, invoke alien to really make people upset. The thing is that this isn't alien, is it? Like, that's not what this species is. There's set up an alien to help you realize how significant the alien is, how deadly the alien is, and here it's just not here. It's like, it's just, you could use any other reason. It could just be no, they like the taste of human blood. I mean, it's like, that could work too. Plus, there's also technically the issue that, yeah, man, this is actually the second recording I did, because I started just going off about how, not completely in my hyper-technical, where it's like, oh, I don't like this, so I'm getting really technical. Not quite like that. Just about how that method of reproduction only makes sense in a very limited capacity. And I'm pretty sure that is the lore for Alien. It's not stated here, though. And that limited capacity is a way for a species to gain access to the DNA of the host species and can then use that to improve itself. So it's trying to hybridize in order to become more and more advanced. I'm pretty sure that is the lore. For Alien, I don't know. Here, no idea. And just to be dependent on that form of reproduction is really foolish, because it's like all someone would have. It's like that kind of dependence, when it's not the same species and is very likely going to be harmful to the other species, like an alien. Yeah, it's you gotta have other methods of reproduction. But there's also, it occurred to me, if that's how you're reproducing, you don't want to attack your host, the city filled with potential hosts, because that means that you're reducing your own ability to reproduce. You don't want to continue attacking because you risk also killing any that you did forcibly implant. So it's actually really stupid. I mean, it can still be done violently, but it's more of a, you have to capture everyone and subdue everyone. You don't want to attack everyone. So, yeah, anyway. It's a short story. But, yeah, so the pursuers turn back, and naturally this group does as well, because it's like, I mean, we stole from them. We don't want any harm to come to them, aside from, the theft. So they turn around to go and fight these things. And it's basically sort of an all hands on deck. They're going to do everything they can. I don't remember if I said it, but they are very much like a group of misfits. And, I mean, it's straight up like Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sorry, but it is. Everyone's a different species. They all have their own quirks, their own capabilities. Even the ship looks like what you get in Guardians of the Galaxy. Come on. You cannot tell me that does not look like the Murano? Is that Milano? I don't quite remember. Something like that from Guardians. It's like, yeah. It does show, some of the capabilities here. Like, the two that, we're having the banter, that they seem to be more so the actual warriors. Well, let me change it. Soldiers. Which is warrior, but soldier, and that trained for this, weapon masters, something like that. Whereas the other guy that's on the ground seems more just, he's a warrior, but he seems more wild. So yeah, and he's just going in there, but the other two, they're going around with guns. When his gun fails, one of them pulls out a sword and just starts killing that way. One person was implanted, no indication of what they can do to help with that. Their ship gets boarded, and one of them goes and deals with that, which is basically apparently her species, or at least specifically hers, able to hypnotize people, hypnotize these, and just gets one to start killing all the others. So it's like, okay, that's a bit overpowered. Blah, blah, blah. Things like that. They fire on and seemingly destroy the ship, even though it was a lot larger than theirs, it seemed like. And, once they wipe everything out, then say, okay, we're just going to leave. For a militia, you're terrible at following orders, so they are technically a militia, but still. Yeah, then we get, this. We have to keep a low profile. We'd be lucky if they don't report any illegal warship was here, which is damaged. Yeah, but, and then to the guy I described as being kind of wild, we can fix the ship, we can go back into hiding, but we can't bring back the dead. And then back to the one woman who can do the hypnotism stuff. She's the one who's saying, oh, we have to keep a low profile. And then the other woman who's a soldier, she just says, he's thinking of all the women who want to thank him with their bodies. And then the hypnotist is just like, and then the wild guy is basically just saying, it would be rude to not accept their gratitude. And it's just fix this ship, we have a long way to go, and that's where it ends. So, yeah. I got nothing. I mean, I put this down as a straight fail to recommend because I feel no connection to it. The fact that it's like, oh yeah, this looks a lot like, Guardians of the Galaxy. And I have no sense of context for this story. I mean, in theory, this is part of the Rippaverse. In theory, it might not be. There's nothing there to tell me it's part of the Rippaverse. There's no reason for me to believe it connects to anything in the Rippaverse. It could just be a random story. They could as easily just said, you know what? No, this isn't a thing. And just drop it. For a short prologue introducing these characters, okay, yeah, kind of sort of works. But without that larger context, without, okay, what is the larger story that this is going to go to? Without things like that, I got nothing. I feel nothing from it. Because it's just, okay, yeah, we got these different characters. 2 soldiers, 1 wild guy, a woman that is capable of hypnotizing enemies, so is apparently exceedingly powerful, potentially the most powerful person there. And she's purple skinned, by the way. A blue skinned guy who's the pilot and apparently very skilled or just insane. And then also a spider looking dude that is the engineer and is able to just, use their spider silk to, as part of their repairs, to hold things together and stuff like that. So actually, at some of the panels, the pilot is having to do a, barrel roll. Because it's one of those things that Star Fox has it wrong. That's an aileron roll where it's just like that. This is a barrel roll where it goes like that. So around the circumference of the barrel. Anyway, and the purple chick, she is not comfortable with that. Is starting to become nauseous, while the spider guy is just like putting up a web to hold them secure, and it's just like, yeah. And it's like, okay, but it's just, all right, fine. I know them, but it's like short prologue to a book, but I don't know anything about the book. I don't. It's like, okay, how does any of this matter? Why should I care about any of this? There's no answer currently. And if it's just like, oh, but we're getting to know them, and then the next adventure. It's like, well, what's the next adventure? Why should I care about that next adventure? I mean, they're just, yeah. I'm just trying to think. All the other short stories, this is the only one of the shorter stories of the Rippazine or Saints and Sinners that isn't set on Earth. All the others are set on Earth. So at least there's some connection there where it's like, okay, anything that happens, that even like Bone God, even though there's like no connection to the rest of the Rippaverse, the fact that it's on Earth means that what happens there could influence the rest of it. Also, I kind of like that one. I legitimately kind of like that one. It's like I did feel a connection with some of the characters there. It's like, okay, I do think it was very hard to tell who was who, what the relationships were, who everyone was, and that they had those issues. But it's like, okay, I understand the context here. This I have no context for. I'm just trying to think. Is there something in Guardians that would make some sense to explain, like just describe what this was like? I guess, imagine just the opening to Guardians where it's not just Quill, it's all of them doing that, trying to steal the orb, but it's not even it's in a box. You don't even know it's that. No sense of the significance, no sense of any value to it. It's just they're trying to steal that. And then wherever they're stealing it from, a bunch of dudes are trying to destroy. So it's like, all right, well, we'll stop that because there's innocent people there. We'll stop that, and then we're just out. It's like, but that's it. And even that makes it sound. I mean, I'm sorry. There's just so there's no meat there, I guess is the way to put it. There's no real meat there, and I want the meat. There's no meat to the story, so there's nothing to chew on, nothing to digest. It's just there. There could be more there, but I'd need context for a larger story. There isn't any, so yeah, sorry, but it's yeah, it has to be a straight fail to recommend, because it's not like if you fix these, there's nothing technically wrong with it. There are no technical issues to it. Aside from the stuff, it's like, yeah, what's the larger context? That's absent. It's like, yeah, but is that really a technical issue necessarily? I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just, can't say it's worth reading, can't say it's not worth reading. So, and it's a lousy way to end the omnibus, I have to say. I mean, it's just, you're not going out on a high note. I mean, Bloodwooth would have been a better way to end, so they should have put this earlier. I do think they should have put this earlier, where it's just like, oh, is this going to relate to anything else? No. but at least it's not what we're ending on. Actually, as I think about it now, what would actually be the best? Like, thinking about just the order. Just the order. What do I can turn this into a little bit more than just dirty deeds, but a bit more. What is the overall stuff with Rippaverse? What would I want? What would I want last? See, part of it is I want to maintain the order things happen in. I think Saints and Sinners, because you can move those around, but try to have them like in the order that things happened in. So like Chasing Ghosts would have to be after Alpha Core. The Underdog would have to be before ISOM. Things like that. One Little Push would have to be after at least Yaiba 1. But yeah, I think you could end if they had changed the order so it ended on Yaiba 3 or Horseman 1. I think that either one of those would have been better to end on. I'm technically also, well, yeah, you could also end on Catch and Kill. Catch and Kill should have been after Bloodruth also, because it's in Bloodruth that they purchase, that Michael and Lillian purchase Aztec, which is in Catch and Kill. So it's, yeah. I just realized I need to do that. All right. Need to actually remake the thumbnail for this one. Fortunately, I got this stuff so scripted, it's not that difficult. Yeah. But yeah, it's... Would I recommend the Rippaverse Omnibus overall? Personally, I think I have to say no. Because it just... I'm not much of a comic book person. And you know, I've tried to be clear from that from the beginning. I'm not a comic book person. And it also just, this doesn't seem all that interesting to me. So many of these stories... Actually, no, keep that file up. Keep that file up. So many of these stories, it's like, yeah, I mean, Yaiba 1 I liked. Yaiba 2 started going weird. Yaiba 3 was very weird. ISOM 1 through 3 I actually did, I did pretty much like. Mentioned Bone God I liked. I hated Zaylin. Great War of Separation I had issues with. Gooding I've got issues with. And I mean, it is also one of those things. I don't know how much of that is just I don't care for, that I'm just not a comic book reader, so this stuff doesn't really work well with me. Because, I mean, I have to be honest, that could be part of it. It might be that some of these are really, really good stories if you really, really like comic books. That's not my thing. I like reading novels. So, yeah, but I think even... Well, no, I can't do that, though. I can't be like, even if I like comic books, it's still just the way my mind works, the way I spot the technical issues, and I think through the technical issues. The technical issues I've seen, they do really annoy me. Like, to use Yaiba for the example, the sword. It's like, she didn't have it with her until suddenly it's saying in the story, no, she had it with her. But then it's also, she had it with her before she joined the mages. But then, why would she have joined the mages, have the sword with her, and then, there, and still had it with her, and then leave there, totally nude, to arrive on Earth with the sword, so she's not actually... None of it makes sense. It really doesn't make any sense there. And it just was, getting worse, because it's compounding these technical issues. And it just... As far as the omnibus itself goes, I definitely believe it should not be in the order it's in. It does not make sense in this order, because events are out of order. The timeline we see is out of order, which makes it hard to have any sense of context. Characters can be wrong. Did I mention it? I know I put it in my notes, but I don't remember if I mentioned it for Bloodruth. But Gooding has a completely different look to him in his book versus what we see of him in Isom. I'm trying to remember if we see him in any others besides Bloodruth. But in Isom, he's just like going around in this like fireman's kind of clothing. It's like, okay, that makes sense because of what he's doing. Technically, you can say, well, it makes sense in Bloodruth as well. Yeah, except with Gooding, we see him and he's like a multi-millionaire. He's very wealthy. He has a super suit as well. Like, it's golden. But it's like he has that. But we're just going to show him going around in this kind of clunky looking. That's something like that. But it looks too large on him. Looks kind of frumpy on him. It's like and the funny thing is, Bloodruth came out after that Gooding, so they could have made the Gooding book, so they could have made him look more like that, and just be like, yeah, we were still figuring it out with Isom, and I'm fine with that. Retconning something like that, I'm fine. Oh wait, well that's true. Bloodruth takes place before Isom, so you'd actually, well, no, you can still, because when he's in Isom, he's dressed like that, but he's responding to a fire. Why is he going around always wearing this fireman suit that doesn't really look right on him? I mean, just, especially after Gooding, it's just. So yeah, different order to the stories definitely would have helped. Putting Alpha Core much earlier so we're not destroying, well, having such a weird, inconsistent character with Solari, that would help so much. Because, I mean, I like Solari. Well, I don't like the Solari of Alpha Core. I like the Solari of the others. He's an interesting character because, specifically because he is so powerful. And he does have a commanding presence. It is reasonable that he can just state things. And that's what's going to happen unless you are somebody like Yaira, who's like, I know I can fight you directly. Everyone else is weaker than him. And everyone else knows that. And even if they don't know who he is, he still has the presence. He carries himself with such a commanding presence. You will obey him, kind of thing. Not in Alpha Core. I mean, just technical issues with Horseman, because I'm also just looking at the cover. I did like Catch and Kill, didn't I? I think I did. But yeah, it just. Would I purchase more, I guess, is one question. Oh, well, hold on. Let me just. What do I recommend the Rippaverse Omnibus? No, I don't. It's kind of weird because I don't think I can. I think I have to fall back to just. Do I recommend, fail to recommend, or recommend against? I think it's just going to be fail to recommend. Like, I don't think I can get more specific than just those 3 categories. I can't do the subcategories, can't do the flavoring, because there's too much variation in it between the different stories. But yeah, I think overall, I have to give it a fail to recommend. Because are there some stories in there that I do think are really bad? Yes. But there's also some that I think are really good, and plenty that are just there. So yeah, I think just straight fail to recommend. Could it be better? Yes. Do I think that would push it to recommend for me? No. But it is still table of contents, numbers on the pages, titles in the header on pages, so you know when you just flip it open what story you're in. Do all that. With the table of contents, I mentioned this in another one. Give the release dates for all of them as well, so that way you can have it in the comprehensive timeline, which I said the timeline itself, that the order of the stories in this, I think, is horrible. It has not given me any clarity, and this is the first time I've read through any of these. And it's like the timeline just confused me, because like, wait a minute, I already know what Eagle's Nest is, but suddenly I'm seeing it's crashed in the ground. When did that happen? It's like you've got issues like that. So I do think you fix that stuff up, it becomes a better omnibus. It becomes better for somebody like me that's just going to sit down and read it, not a just put on the shelf because I already got all the books, not something like that, but just say, nope, this is how I'm going to read it. But that still wouldn't bump me up to recommend, because I don't feel that the stories overall are good enough there. Would I buy more from the Rippaverse? even without the whole, I don't collect comic books, I don't really have a good place for putting them. This being hardbound is helpful, but it's still, I'm not sure where I'm going to put this permanently. It just... I don't think I would purchase more. It would depend. It would only be like single specific things. Where it's like... I think that the Bloodruth 2, I think I'd actually be the most interested in, but it would depend. I would need to know a lot before I'd spend any money on that. Because it's just, I liked Yaira 1. Yaira 2 I definitely felt was downgraded. Both Yaira and Bloodruth are by Saska sisters. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I think I'd want to know where it goes, because if it starts taking left turns like it felt Yaira ultimately did across the 3, it's like, Gooding, maybe. And, hang on, I do want to check something, because I don't remember who wrote Gooding. Okay. Nope. Oh, no. That's Alpha Core. See, this is what I mean. I just opened up a page and I don't know where I am. No, this is actually in Gooding now. Mike Barron. Okay. Well, that's true. It's Gooding the Polymath, so I guess we haven't gotten a Gooding number 1 yet or anything like that. Maybe, because, I mean, Gooding was pretty damn generic. And things just went too well for him, I feel, as well. So it's like, I'd like to see... I'd be interested in seeing more of that. Because that is the kind of story that I like. You know, just the whole, hey, he's really smart. I like that. I appreciate that. The story's really generic, so let me see something more. Give me more with him that's actually interesting. That's something more novel. Something that isn't just, oh, he's awesome. So it's like, you know, that would be nice. No idea if that'll happen. But it's like, you know, maybe I'd be interested in that. But any others of these that I'd want to see more of? Isom, maybe, which actually, no, that reminds me of one thing I do want to say. Yaira, I doubt. I don't think I'd want to see Yaira 4. I just have no reason to trust because of how weirdly that's gone. Looking at Saints and Sinners, I could see Across to Bear if that would continue. That might be interesting. Bone God, yeah, I could see that being interesting. Really just that. Horseman, not really. I mean, that's in part because just so many technical issues and such, and it's... Crap, I'm even now trying to remember. What was in Horseman 1? I can remember Welcome to Flores Park. I can't think of Horseman 1. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's where the dude is hiring him, and it ended on a cliffhanger. Like, in the middle of action cliffhanger, and it's like... I mean, it's too damn obvious to me that, yeah, he's going to be betrayed, and it's like, yeah, what's going on here is nothing that impressive to me. So yeah, I don't think I'd care about a new Horseman. Alpha Core, I would only be interested in finding out how heavily they change characters as they continue. That change up the characters, like getting Solari to be like he is everywhere else. But that would be and that's not even I need to buy. That's just because my brother would probably end up buying and just be like, hey, does Solari end up being consistent with how he is everywhere else? Yes or no? It's like, that's all I need to know. Bloodruth already said, I'd be curious about it, a number 2 there, but that's kind of it. Okay, so I skipped over mentioning Isom here, and that's because one thing that I heard a point being made was that the trio, and I disagree with this, that the trio for the Rippaverse is Isom, Yaira, and Solari. I disagree with this. I absolutely disagree with this. Isom, this may sound silly, and I know it's like I'm contradicting, because this is what Eric July had said in one of the background noise things I watched recently, that they're the trio. But Isom isn't. From just what I've seen, and now true, he has stories plotted out that I would not know, because they're not in here. But it's just, Isam isn't. His story has ended. I mean, yeah, he's got the whole Chadran thing that he needs to deal with, but it's like, okay, that's a new story for him. But it's like, what's he doing? Nothing. His story has ended for the time being. Yaira still has stuff going on, and it's also, she's an alien. Alien stuff is going to go through her, is in the Rippaverse. Like, now true, she might not, Zaylin technically should be appearing in Great War Separation stories, based on the, because it seems like he's going after the alien that was already on Earth that the cartel's using. So it seems like that's the case there. So, okay, Yaira might not be involved there, but still, she's the main alien on Earth that's going to deal with alien threats because they're coming because of her. Solari is the main human except, so, like, if something is happening, you expect him to react. It also, you know, he's the most powerful of them, it seems. And then Bloodruth, because all the magic shit is going to concern her. So it's like, Yaira's concerned with aliens, Solari's concerned with Earth, Bloodruth's concerned with magic. What's left? Isam is only going to be concerned with Isam. That's his, because he's concerned with his stories. It's not, oh, something's coming in Forest Park. Well, it's Isam that's going to, no, you think it's Solari that's going to respond, or the rest of Alpha Core. It's like, so yeah, it's kind of at least with Isam, it is legitimately, hey, I actually got a complete story here. No one else seems to have that. So it's like that I appreciate, and I did enjoy those three, but it's the three together that I think they are better than just the individual parts. So I don't quite remember, but I think a way to put it is, I don't remember what ranks I gave them, but let's just assume that at best I gave them 2s. I could see myself, though, when I get to writing the reviews, saying that all 3 together, though, I would give a 3 to. That I would give a straight recommendation to. Because it is the complete story, and that complete story actually works. I think it works well, but when it's complete. Just the pieces, not as strong on their own, but, you know, they're still good. At least I'm pretty sure I did enjoy all of them. Let me go up and look. Okay, a little bit further. Yeah, 2 on Isam 3. 2 on Isam 2. What did I give Isam 1? 2 as well. Okay, yeah, so all 3 of those were 2, but I could see all 3 together being a 3, a straight recommendation. But yeah, I mean, it's, and I think just going back to the whole how I'm not really a comic book guy. I prefer novels. I think that one thing that is also hurting my enjoyment of the omnibus, and might also significantly contribute to why I wouldn't be interested in continuing with Rippaverse stories, is they're not even serial. They're just this story, then this story, then this story, then this story. Are there connections between them? Yeah, but it's still this story, and this story, and this story, and this story. And they don't necessarily complete. Like, as I said, Isam, that's a complete story. Everything else is not complete, unless it is just a single book thing. Like, in theory, Gooding is completed. Technically, The Horseman, Welcome to Forest Park could have been its own story. It has its own problems, but it's just, nothing is start to end finished but Isam, it seems. And that annoys me. And it's also because it's like, number 1 is here, but then we go and do these things, and then we get to number 2, and then we do these things, and then we do number 3, and then we do these things. And it's just, it makes it, things are changing. The idea, like, I'm sorry, but with Yaira, I feel Yaira is a good example of what I mean here, where she's just super powerful alien, living on Earth for centuries, and people from her own world have come to take her back because she's some kind of criminal to them, and she has to kill them because she doesn't want to go. Okay, that works. Yaira 2, she's searching out somebody who had escaped them previously. This makes sense. I follow that. Numite, I'm pretty sure it was Numite, one of the first mage guy we met is apparently still able to influence her, still is, you know, giving her these nightmares. It's like, okay, so she's being tormented by that, and that's causing her to reveal herself and cause damage. It's like, okay, I can work with this. It also was getting weird, because, like, why do we now have wraiths? What's up with this, the Neptune Queen? I'm like, it really made more sense to me if it was just none of this was real. There's also the old boyfriend showing up, and it's like, okay, I don't trust him to be a good guy at all. And proved right in Yaira 3. But then Yaira 3, it's not only that which you saw coming, but it's also, oh no, now there's another mage who specifically does this stuff. She knows them. She was going to be one of them. Oh, and there's more mages, and they all want to kill. It's like, what are we talking about now? Where did any of this come from? Why does she now know magic? Because it almost felt like maybe they had an idea for how the Yaira story would go, but then other ideas came up, and those just applied pressure, and we're just going to change all that. Does it make sense? Not necessarily. And it's like, I mean, I'm confused by it. And it's like, that's not a healthy way to tell a story. And that's why, like, write the story out completely. Get that all in there and make it stiff in a way. I mean, so it's not changing. It's kind of like, when I describe something as thready, because it just it doesn't follow what makes sense for the story. It follows whatever the author wants to have happen, even though it doesn't make sense. It's just say, oh yeah, I want this to happen, so we'll just put it in there. It's like that's bad storytelling. And it just kind of feels like Yaira 1 through 3 experiences that, but it's not within the story. Well, there's a little bit in the stories, but it's not exactly that. It's more from one to next, and next is thready. And it's just, yeah, I like novels. I also, for what manga I've read, I like that better, because at least with that, it is a single, continuous, just serialized story. And yes, there will be changes. There are things that get retconned. That's fine. I understand that. But it's not like, I guess, yeah, let's go with that. So, the Bleach manga, because I have read through that a couple times, and I've watched the anime a few times through as well. There were definite retcons for the earlier parts of that compared to later. But the kind of change we got with Yaira, if we applied it to Bleach, would be like, oh yes, initially the Quincy's are just, special line of humans, special breed of humans, essentially, special race of humans, however you want to put that. But then now we're retconning it to, they're actually space aliens. That they're down, that they've come to Earth, and because they're alien, that throws off the whole relationship with the Soul Society stuff. It's like, it would be like doing that. It's like, where did this come from? But then you find out that, the author, Tite Kubo, hope I pronounced that correctly, that he also started writing a story, or just a friend of his was writing a story that was science fiction involved aliens. Like, oh, I'm just going to start putting that in. He's like, no, don't do that. There'd be no reason to do that. But retcons are in there. It's like, yeah, no, I mean, I can understand why you had to do those. Or just fine, you changed it, but what you changed to is what you then kept. It's like, that's fine, I understand it, but this, it just is all over the place, it feels to me, and it just, yeah, I just, a lot of blathering, I know. As I've said before, I'm better at writing than at talking, so hopefully the written review will prove that out as well. But yeah, it's still, though, as I've said, I'm not a comic book person, so I was hoping that this may make me into one, or at least, because I don't have any comic books, I don't read comic books, so maybe this kind of exposure would get me interested in them. It has not. It hasn't necessarily turned me off from them, except maybe Chuck Dixon, because too many of the stories in here that he wrote are ones where it's like, I think his and my taste in stories, at least in comic book stories, are very misaligned, such that I don't think I would bother. And as I said when I talked about that in the video for Alpha Core, if he would ever read my stuff, he might be like, yeah, I don't like this. And it's like, that's fine. It's just, as I said, I think, misalignment. But it's just, while I would fail to recommend because of what my tastes are, I still want to say, though, I still think it's important to say, they're doing a second run of this. And in theory, with like the swapped pages in Yaira 3 being fixed. I don't know if anything else, if there would be any other changes. So if you are interested, because, I mean, hey, you are absolutely free to disagree with every single opinion I have. If you want to get a copy, you have until June 6th to put in an order. If you go to the Rippaverse website or just look up Rippaverse Omnibus, you'll probably get a link take you to the new page for ordering it, not just the old page that you wouldn't be able to order from. But yeah, so it's there. It's also, I think they said under the Rippaverse campaign, not campaign, but it's like, because again, Rippaverse, that's the main comics. Rippaverse, that this would be under, and then Rippazine, which is them like doing some of the stuff like the sales and such, the campaign management for other people. This is under Rippaverse, and if you're interested, go right there and get it. I mean, I will say, physically, I mean, yes, it is true that the binding has popped off the spine here. That's this thicker book. Yeah, that was going to happen. I knew that from the start. There are still just some composition issues that do annoy me. Like I mentioned, no page numbers, no table of contents, no title, because it's like, okay, well, no, that this one is kind of obvious. It's ISOM because of him being there, and he's basically not in anything but his own stories. And also, this art style is like it's only ISOM that actually has that. So let me try again. Oh, that's still ISOM, but that's ISOM 3. Okay. But you just look at this. I mean, okay, yeah, I was right there. But it's still, I mean, it's like, except for seeing specific characters or remembering specific moments, you might not be able to identify just at a glance which these are. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice they had those changes, but it's still, if you're interested, go and buy it. I mean, mine is one opinion of many. I don't think, my interest is not there, but hey, yours might be. Maybe I said something that's like, you know what, Jim? I disagree with you. I think that sounds, go for it. Or maybe you'll look at the written review and again be like, that's what I want. Have fun. Alright, enough of my blathering, because I know I have been blathering for a while. I'll just see you next time, which normally I try not to say what I am going to do next. And by the way, it will be a while before new videos are coming out because I want to finish writing up the review. And then I'll probably take a little bit of a break after that just so I can do some other things. I got a backlog of movies to watch. I've got my own book that I'm writing, things like that. But I will say what the next book is, because in part if I say it, hopefully it'll help me remember, because it's constantly like other things come up that keep me from finally getting to, because I've said I wanted to do it, is Utopia. By Sir Thomas More? Isn't it Thomas More? St. Thomas More? Isn't that right? Yeah, Utopia by St. Thomas More. Which will just be the Project Gutenberg version, because why not? That'll work. Yeah, I do want to go through that. Because as I've said before, I have read it previously, and one thing that I remember being struck with was how it's a horrible place. I'd never want to live in Utopia. Why do we equate Utopia with a perfect place? It's like we've just been lied to, if you think that. It's a horrible place. They're evil. Like, the difference between a utopia and dystopia is just how clean it is. Anyway, that's what I hope to do next. Hopefully I will actually do it. And then after that, I know what the book is. It's over there, but I've not mentioned it, so that I'm not going to mention. It's just hopefully I do remember to do Utopia next. And then I know exactly what book I'll do after that. It's right over there. And then I got plenty of ebooks as well that I would like to go through as well for this stuff. So yeah, I don't know when this will be when assigned reading videos will be starting up again. Depends how long the review takes. Depends how long a break I want. We'll just see. Yeah, we'll just see. All right. For what it's worth, I will try to not let it be months like it was when I was working through the backlog of written reviews. Hopefully it won't be like that. It'll just be some number of weeks. But yeah. So anyway, see you next time.